I've got a great craft for the kids to help you celebrate Earth Day, and you'll have most of the materials at home on hand. We are going to recycle paper and turn it into wildflower seed bombs to make our earth even more beautiful. And so you'll need some paper to recycle. You'll need a jar or a can and a rubber band and some screen. That's probably the hardest one to find other than wildflower seeds. And so just a packet of wildflower seeds is something you might have to go find or ask your neighbor for. And you'll also need a food processor. And so it starts with the paper. The best thing for this project is blue construction paper and green construction paper, because then you can make it look like the earth. But you don't want to use new construction paper for that, because this is about recycling. So I recycled my card forecasts and added blue food coloring to it because I didn't have any blue paper. That was messy. If you do that outside and plan on some blue fingers afterwards. So word of the warning. I did find some green envelopes that were old Christmas cards. And so we're gonna do this separately, one for the blue and one for the green, but you don't have to do it that way. You can do it just out of white paper and it's just not colored, but we're trying to tie in Earth Day here. And so the kids will love this part. You rip up the paper into small pieces. I found it a little satisfying myself. I think it's the quarantine conditions, but it feels really good. So you rip it up and you put it in a bowl of water. And so you're gonna make sure that it's all getting wet, and you're gonna let it sit for a while, probably about 20 minutes, maybe even longer, go have lunch or something. And so I did that with my green envelope too. After you get back, then you're gonna dump either the blue or the green in your food processor. And this takes a while. I'm not gonna do it right now because if I press this button, my dog's gonna go nuts and we're gonna have to start over. But it takes a while to do this, and you have to keep stopping and scraping down the sides of it so that it really makes a fine mesh for your recycled paper. So we've broken down the paper, and this is the one I added the food coloring to and got really messy. And so it's just a very, very fine mesh there. And you're gonna take it, and then you go ahead and maybe set that aside and do it with your green one. I used my bigger food processor, and you could also use a blender for this part to do the green one. And so then you take your jar or your can and you put your screen over it and secure it, make it really tight with the rubber band. And this is going to be the surface that we're making our seed bomb on, and so it allows the water to drip through. And you can take cookie cutters, but I don't have any. And so you can use the lid of the jar upside down also. This is just the form that we're gonna put our recycled paper into. And so you're gonna take the recycled paper, and once again, if you used food coloring, it's gonna turn your fingers blue. And you're gonna start putting it in that little cookie cutter or that area. And once you get a nice base started, start with a thin base and spread it all the way out and press it down. You might have to hold the sides of the screen so that you don't loosen the screen, and make a really nice base, because next we're gonna add our seeds. So this is all gonna harden and make a new layer. It's gonna be our seed bomb. So we've recycled the paper and we're making it the base of our seed bomb. And so we want it to really stick together. And so you might have to spend time and blue fingers to get that done, but we have a nice base there that's going to be the surface that we're putting all of our wildflower seeds on. And so then shake a bunch of wildflower seeds in there, and then more blue, because we're gonna put more on top of that. And so this is the ocean of our earth, if you're paying attention to that. And then you can take the green part. This is the extra part that just makes it fun. You don't have to do this, but you can take the green paper that you made and make little continents on the earth. And depending on how artistic you are, they may or may not be that accurate. And then you're gonna press it, press it, press it, press it, press it. And so it's gonna end up looking kind of like this. And so this is our seed bomb. Go ahead and take this whole setup out and sit it in the sun for a couple of hours to help it dry. Then after it sits in the sun for a couple of hours, which this one hasn't done, so it might fall apart, take it out, put it on a bunch of paper towels, take your cookie cutter off, and then also more paper towels on top of that, and sit a book on it overnight so that it flattens and dries out. Otherwise, it could start to fall apart and curl a little bit, but it's gonna make this basically puck. And because this one's drying out, hasn't dried out, it is falling apart a little bit, but I'm gonna continue just so you get the idea. But you're gonna have this seed bomb, and it's gonna be a lot harder than this and more compact than this when it dries, especially if you put those books on it to kind of squeeze all that extra moisture out. You could mail this to a grandparent for them to plant, give it to your friends, or you could head outside and plant this right now, because as the paper continues to break down, it's going to act like a compost or a food for those seeds, and the wildflowers are gonna spring to life and bloom, and it's gonna make make our Earth even more beautiful. Happy Earth Day.